Meanwhile, the pastor probably got 6 wives and cattle, and they over here yodeling at the sky, bro. Come on. If somebody told your granny something, right, and they told her granny the same thing, and they told her granny the same thing, and they told her granny the same thing, like at a certain point, somebody lied. Like if it ain't already happened, you know what I'm saying? I keep telling y'all, overwhelming majority of black Christians are Christian before they are black, which is the dumbest thing in the world because everybody else put race long before religion. I just want to say this. You will never get ahead collectively off of somebody else's belief system because it's literally their system to benefit them. Why would it benefit you? You know, I read somewhere back, it was an old YouTube video, and it was, they were talking about how back in the day, like, it was the 20th century, I don't know if it was like World War I or II or somewhere around that time, but it was like Italy would not invade other Christian nations. Conveniently, they invaded Ethiopia, though, in that same exact span of time. And so I remember, like, that's not the part that stood out to me about it. The part that stood out, and you can search this on YouTube, the part that stood out to me about it was an Italian pilot's personal account knowing that Ethiopia is like the oldest or one of the oldest Christian nations ever. And he was from a Christian nation, Italian, white, and he bombed like innocent black people in Ethiopia. And he like was foaming at the mouth, reveling about how beautiful it was, like their bodies turned into roses. But anyway, yeah, I had to get up. But the part that stuck out to me the most was how he talked about how beautiful it was that these black people's bodies was exploding because of the bombs he was dropping and how they flowered like a rose for him. And that's the part that like that's the part I be trying to get people to understand, like especially Africans, like they don't understand the amount of hatred that these other people have. Like they really don't. Even over here in the US, they don't. Even a lot of black Americans don't understand the amount of hatred that these other groups have for us. And it's crazy to think that you're gonna get ahead off of something that their ancestors beat and raped into yours. And that's the only reason you believe it today. And we all know, you know, especially in America, the story of like, you know, white people and Christianity. But they're not the only group of people that did this. It's well known that Arabs used their religion to spread themselves and their beliefs and their way of life across the earth. And so this is not prone to one group of people. And so I guess one of my questions is just like, how black people around the world, we can write dissertations after dissertations about colonialism and slavery, about all this different stuff. But we not gonna criticize that though, which is the crazy. I think that's like, you don't think that's by design. What Umar say? You don't think that's suspicious? Like, we'll question everything else about all that happened. We'll write you a 6,000-page dissertation on colonialism, all of this. But they not gonna criticize that though, and I think that's the strongest thing is because you can't criticize. You're not supposed to. Well, you can, but a lot of people think you're not supposed to. And I'm not bashing like what people believe, but like you cannot believe these other people's religions and even have a conscious black thought of your own. You can't, especially if you were informed only through the lens of what was literally beat, raped, killed, stolen, like dehumanized, like stuff that was literally forced into your ancestors. And it's like crazy. And then people be, oh, you know, well, this or that. But they gonna find an excuse about this, but not about other stuff though, which is the craziest thing. And the craziest thing is they'll expect you, me, a random black man on YouTube, to have every answer to all of this. But then God work in mysterious ways. Like, why do we give, like, I swear these ancient desert religions, like, why do we have to be so perfect in order for us to accept anything? Like, we so judgmental about each other. But God or whoever can do whatever or not do whatever, and it's just mysterious ways, or it's like it's always an excuse for it. We don't even make excuses for each other, but we make that's crazy to me, bro. Think about how convenient that is. Like, I hate to keep taking back to slavery, but imagine how convenient that is to tell somebody, hey, listen, bro, you'll get everything you want after you die. You see the houses and the freedom and the nice life we have. You don't want none of that. That's evil, bro. You supposed to be poor. You all that stuff that you want when you already dead. Because then when you gone, you not physically finna run and warn, tell nobody what things really is. You not finna actually, by that time it's over with. They ain't gotta worry about you. You don't work for them, gave them everything, and you have nothing, and your children have nothing, and the cycle continue. Like, how convenient is that? Everything is gonna be perfect when you die. When I ain't gotta worry about you revolting, doing anything to me, retaliating or nothing. That's wild. And so once again, it's never to bash anybody. I'm not trying to convert anybody. I ain't got nothing for you to convert to. But it's like, to not even be able to ask questions about certain stuff, but then be so, especially the people that be so blackity black, and it's like, but they not gonna question that King James though. They not gonna question the Quran though. They not gonna question none of these Abrahamic religions, especially. They not gonna do it. And until we can have an honest, legitimate conversation about religion and its effects on our people, its intentional effects on our people, nothing like, if you don't look at one of the most fundamental ways that we look at things, the lens that we look at everything through, we condition from birth through these other people's religions and versions of their religions that was literally made just to force us down. And it's until we can't talk, if we can't talk about the biggest thing, we can never talk about the smallest thing ever. But yeah, that's wild to me. And especially people that be, oh, the system, but then not question that system though, which uphold most of the stuff.